Hello. In this video, I will be discussing a question that, unsurprisingly, many people have asked before. Namely, what is the best Pixar film? This is a subjective question, and I will be answering this according to my own opinion. This list is from the point of view of a 17-year-old math nerd. In addition, I will be mentioning their heroes and villains, and the rank I gave them in terms of their strength, and anything I noticed when watching the films that pertains to the Pixar theory but has not, to my knowledge, been discussed by theorists. Before I get into this, I would like to say that Pixar has done a very good job with their films. In my opinion, the 23 Pixar films can be put into 5 categories, namely, the flop, the 5 good films, the 5 very good films, the 6 excellent films, and the 6 masterpieces. First, we have the flop. In 23rd place, we have The Good Dinosaur. I gave this a 95 out of 300. This film is just not that exciting. And I have no idea how the drug sequence got into a kid's movie. I ranked Arlo as Pixar's 45th most powerful hero, and I ranked Spot as the 16th most powerful hero. I ranked Thunderclap as the 27th most powerful villain, and I ranked the Rustlers collectively as the 17th most powerful villain. Now we have the good films. In 22nd place, we have Brave. I gave this 178 out of 300. The general idea is a very good one, and is a pretty good film, but some of the characters are a bit lacking. Pixar could have done much better with Eleanor in the second half of the film, and Merida lacks any true ambition aside from just running around and shooting arrows all day. In their attempt to come up with a princess that didn't conform to the stereotype of women, they just made Merida into another stereotype. I ranked Merida as the 14th most powerful hero, and I ranked Eleanor as the 32nd most powerful hero. I ranked Mordu as the 8th most powerful villain. An interesting note, it took a large portion of that stone to kill Mordu. These stones are most likely based off of Stonehenge, meaning that each of the stones weighs 25 tons. The stone fell on Mordu rather than sat on him, meaning its perceived weight would have been bigger, but it also wasn't the whole stone, so these properties would have somewhat cancelled out. And the force necessary to kill Mordu would have been somewhere around 250,000 newtons. This is even close to the value that MatPat calculated for the strength of Mr. Incredible, over 5 times this value, so Mr. Incredible could probably win in a fight against Mordu, in case you were wondering. In 21st place, we have Cars 2. I gave this a 190 out of 300. This is widely considered to be Pixar's worst film, but I actually liked it. Of course, that's mostly because I like slapstick humor and spy thrillers. Even I think later it was a bit overdone, and the message of the film is a bit odd. Yeah, go ahead and be that stereotypical American tourist, and if people don't like it, that's their problem. I ranked Finn as the 13th most powerful hero, and Mater as the 23rd most powerful hero. I ranked Axelrod as the 6th most powerful villain, and Professor Zundap as the 16th most powerful villain. In 20th place, we have Cars 3. I gave this a 203 out of 300. This was basically just a watered-down version of Cars. I would have scored this lower if not for Cruise. I ranked Cruise as the 33rd most powerful hero. I ranked Jackson Storm as the 26th most powerful villain, and I ranked Sterling as the 13th most powerful villain. In 19th place, we have A Bug's Life. I gave this a 205 out of 300. The film is a little bit simple, but it does things well. And Dot is really adorable. I ranked Flick as the 21st most powerful hero, Queen Ada as the 19th most powerful hero, and Hopper as the 14th most powerful villain. Additionally, there's a blooper reel at the end that does some interesting things with the Pixar theory. Whether or not the bloopers count in the Pixar theory is not something very many people talk about, but after some digging I found a Snarkasm article by Negroni, the creator of the theory, where he stated that the blooper reels did not count. Nevertheless, it would be interesting if the bloopers had anything to offer. What the blooper suggests is that somehow Woody survived the apocalypse, probably due to the immense love Andy had for him, and that the events in A Bug's Life were actually a production and not actual events. This also suggests that A Bug's Life doesn't necessarily have to take place far enough in the future for birds to evolve. Since the bird was revealed to be a mechanical creation, and it suggests that grasshoppers and ants could potentially live in peace. Finally, this suggests that the bugs have evolved enough to have movies and phones, and that this production is harkening back to the times where their technology was simpler. In 18th place, we have Cars. I gave this a 206 out of 300. Like A Bug's Life, this film is a little simple, but it does things well. I ranked Lightning McQueen as the 17th most powerful hero and Chick Hicks as the 19th most powerful villain. Additionally, there's an end credit scene. Unlike the blooper reels, the end credit scenes must be considered in the Pixar theory, since the premise that A Bug's Life takes place after WALL-E is based off the end credits for WALL-E. And this end credit scene is really hard to fit into the Pixar universe. The Cars are shown to be watching car versions of other Pixar movies, which wouldn't be such a huge problem if two of these movies were A Bug's Life and Monsters, Inc., both of which occur after Cars in the Pixar timeline. Some stuff I found in other movies could potentially help, though, so I'm going to put this on the back burner for now. Now, we have the very good films. In 17th place, we have Toy Story 4. I gave this a 208 out of 300. They did a really good job with the characters. Bo Peep is excellent, and Duck and Bunny are some of the funniest Pixar characters out there. However, the plot is a bit lacking. I ranked Forky as the 42nd most powerful hero, Bo Peep as the 22nd most powerful hero, and Gabby Gabby as the 25th most powerful villain. In 16th place, we have Monsters University. I give this a 210 out of 300. Like Cars and A Bug's Life, this film is a little simple, but it does things well. What gave this the edge over these films, though, is that it's more exciting, and it goes into the intellect required for scaring. I ranked Mike as the 25th most powerful hero, Johnny Worthington as the 28th most powerful villain, and Teen Hardscrabble as the 23rd most powerful villain. In 15th place, we have Finding Dory. I gave this a 220 out of 300. This is an exciting film, but it relies too heavily on the original. I ranked Dory as the 27th most powerful hero. The cephalopods in the films are the closest thing Finding Dory has to villains, so I used them in the ranking. I ranked Hank as the 15th most powerful villain, and the giant squid is the 10th most powerful villain. In 14th place, we have Onward. I gave this a 230 out of 300. This movie is imaginative and sweet, and there are a number of excellent scenes, but the storyline is a little basic. Only a little. I ranked Ian as the 4th most powerful hero, Barley as the 20th most powerful hero, Ms. Lightfoot as the 18th most powerful hero, and the Curse as the 5th most powerful villain. In 13th place, we have Up. I give this a 248 out of 300. At this point, we're at the stage where I can't really find any significant faults with the movies. Up is just a victim of the other Pixar movies being so good and Up not being able to quite compare. I ranked Carl Fredricksen as the 30th most powerful hero, Russell as the 41st most powerful hero, and Charles Muntz as the 21st most powerful villain. Now, we have the excellent films. In 12th place, we have The Incredibles 2. I give this a 250 out of 300. This movie had a very difficult job to do with high expectations, providing the sequel to The Incredibles, and it performed admirably. I ranked Jack Jack as the 2nd most powerful hero, Void as the 10th most powerful hero, and the Screenslaver as the 3rd most powerful villain. In 11th place, we have Ratatouille. I gave this a 255 out of 300. Ratatouille was a very creative concept and had some extremely interesting social commentary. I ranked Remy as the 35th most powerful hero, Linguini as the 36th most powerful hero, Skinner as the 24th most powerful villain, and Anton Ego as the 18th most powerful villain. In 10th place, we have Inside Out. I gave this a 265 out of 300. This is Pixar in its element. I ranked Joy as the 31st most powerful hero and Sadness as the 39th most powerful hero. Like Finding Dory, Inside Out doesn't really have any villains, so anger is the closest thing Inside Out has to a villain, and I ranked him as the 31st most powerful villain. In 9th place, we have Finding Nemo. I gave this a 275 out of 300. This is an extremely touching film. I ranked Marlin as the 34th most powerful hero, Nemo as the 40th most powerful hero, and the Dentist as the 29th most powerful villain. In 8th place, we have Toy Story 3. I give this a 276 out of 300. Like Incredibles 2, this had a difficult task to do, and it did not disappoint. The characters were especially brilliant. I ranked Mr. Potato Head as the 8th most powerful hero. If you're curious as to why, refer to MatPat's analysis of the tortilla scene. I ranked Lotso as the 22nd most powerful villain. I'd also like to point out that when I watched this, I noticed that there was absolutely no way the toys would have been able to get over to Sid's garbage truck in time after the incinerator scene, so I find it likely that the toys called over and asked Sid for a lift. This, of course, would suggest that the toys, after Sid got some therapy, kept in touch with him afterwards. This also corroborates this one fan theory, I'm not sure where it started, that Sid chose to become a garbage man to rescue abandoned toys due to his unique skill set and knowledge. I like being positive, so I like this theory. Unfortunately, it was denied by the director, but really, when has that ever stopped anyone? In their true form, movie theories aren't theories, they're games. In 7th place, we have Soul. I gave this a 277 out of 300. The first ever Pixar film to feature a black protagonist was extremely well done. There's a lot of humor, the plot is creative and imaginative, and the characters are well thought out. I ranked Joe Gardner as the 38th most powerful hero, 22 as the 44th most powerful hero, the Jerrys collectively as the most powerful hero, and Terry as the most powerful villain. In fact, Terry is so powerful, he's strong enough to break the fourth wall. I'm also figuring out who the souls shown other than 22 become, assuming they become people we know. And now we have the masterpieces. In 6th place, we have Toy Story. I gave this a 285 out of 300. The very first Pixar film holds up well against its successors, and really, what's not to like about it? I ranked Woody as the 28th most powerful hero, Buzz the 24th most powerful hero, and Sid as the 32nd most powerful villain. In 5th place, we have Toy Story 2. I gave this a 287 out of 300. It's not often when a sequel manages to top the original, but this movie managed to do it. I ranked Jesse as the 29th most powerful hero, Al as the 33rd most powerful villain, and Stinky Pete as the 30th most powerful villain. There's a blooper reel for this film, and if the blooper reels actually occur within the Pixar universe, that would suggest that Toy Story 2, like A Bug's Life, is actually a production. It's also implied that A Bug's Life and Toy Story were made into movies around the events of Toy Story 2. Flick and Heimlich appear in the blooper reel as well, but as Negroni pointed out, Flick and Heimlich can and do appear in the movie itself because the witch from Brave may have accidentally picked them up in her search for Sully. There is a bit of a continuity error because Heimlich gets his wings at the end of A Bug's Life, but he's wingless in his cameo in Toy Story 2. But since if the blooper reels count, that means A Bug's Life was a production rather than actual events, and therefore Heimlich may not have actually gotten wings. These bloopers, however, have much more impact on the Pixar universe than the bloopers from A Bug's Life, however, as this would mean that there would be humans who know about the toy sentience other than Sid, since there would have to be human actors. This, of course, brings to mind, what is the studio that knows about the things going on in the Pixar universe? And we actually find our answer in one of these shorts I analyzed some time ago. Your Friend the Rat. At the end of the short, we see that the group that created the announcement was Pixar. Therefore, in the Pixar universe, there's a production company called Pixar that knows about at least some of the stuff going on in the Pixar universe. I propose to you that this is the same studio that made Toy Story and Toy Story 2 in the Pixar universe. Now, Toy Story 3 and Toy Story 4 don't necessarily have to be productions themselves. Toy Story 1 and Toy Story 2 could simply be retelling of events that happened to the toys, in which case Toy Story 3 and Toy Story 4 would have actually occurred. And now it's time to look at what Pixar could possibly be and what they might be trying to do. Now, we know in the Pixar universe that nobody except for Anton Ego, the former Gusteau's staff, the health inspector from Ratatouille, Carl Fredricksen, Russell, George and AJ from the short of the same name, Charles Muntz, Splashdown from The Incredibles, maybe Pixar, and possibly one or two others at the time know about the intelligence that animals exhibit. And nobody other than Sid and maybe Pixar know about the intelligence inanimate objects exhibit, so Pixar most definitely didn't release these productions of Your Friend the Rat. Or Your Friend the Rat. I'm pretty sure that Carl Fredricksen and or Russell are at least affiliated with Pixar, because in Your Friend the rats have no problem speaking English, whereas in Ratatouille it's made clear that rats can't necessarily communicate their thoughts to humans. Therefore, it seems to me to be the most likely solution is that Your Friend the Rat was made after the events of Up. George and AJ made the news about a talking dog. Pixar went to investigate. They found out the collars, and they improved on the technology to make new collars that can't be seen on a rat. This suggests that Linguini, Colette, and Anton Ego become affiliated with Pixar shortly after the events of Ratatouille, as the rumors of a cooking rat would have brought Pixar to Paris, and they would have asked those three. They would have returned when they realized they could interview the rat. As for Pixar's purpose, I think it's to get material to potentially humanize the machines and animals in the future in case the humans were ever ready to accept that the machines and animals were sentient, and to produce some sort of alliance between the three entities due to the nature of Toy Story. This, of course, leaves the questions of how did Pixar find out about the sentient machines and who started it. Really, the only candidate I could think of the only candidate who could have started I could think of was Mirage from The Incredibles, who would have spent a lot of time around AI and the origin of the 0-point energy, and whose likely background as a spy would have given her a distinct advantage figuring out that inanimate objects were sentient. It's plausible that it could be her because it's not explicitly stated what happened to her afterward. There may be other candidates, but I was unable to think of any. What I find to be the most likely scenario is this. Mirage notices strange things occurring on Nomanison Island after Syndrome's death and begins to investigate. She eventually meets some AI given sentience by the 0-point energy and befriends them. Mirage leaves Nomanison Island in search for other objects potentially given sentience along with Syndrome's former crew, which the theorizer is correct in his theory on Syndrome's backstory, would have been much less sadistic after Syndrome's death, and discovers more and more of the effects of the 0-point energy. Given her connections with the Parr family, she would have most likely invited them to join Pixar. In order for the machines and toys she encounters to gain acceptance into society, she interviews them about various experiences and makes productions out of these experiences to humanize them in the view of a future human audience. They follow rumors of animals having remarkable intelligence because they realize that if inanimate objects can have intelligence, why not animals? As they go along, they encounter the toys from Toy Story and Remy from Ratatouille, and they make productions. They would most likely have also encountered Flick and Heimlich in the process of making Toy Story, who would have enjoyed showing Pixar the film they made, and who would have been eager to make A Bug's Life 2, as shown in the bloopers. This here helps explain how the Cars are aware of the events in Toy Story and A Bug's Life, because they would have been lost productions Pixar had access to. And unrelated to Pixar, the blooper reel additionally refutes one of the points made by MacPat when explaining that the Cars are in fact insects, as Buzz is shown to have, as a toy, eaten a bean burrito. In fourth place, we have Monsters, Inc. I give this to a 290 out of 300. Monsters, Inc. is built off of true ingenuity. The infamous monster under the bed is only scaring you because they need the energy from your screams to power their cities. I ranked Sully as the 15th most powerful hero, Boo is the 3rd most powerful hero, Waternoose is the 7th most powerful villain, and Randall is the 12th most powerful villain. Unfortunately, after I did all the analysis I did of the blooper reels, I found out that Monsters, Inc. also has a blooper reel, and while the other blooper reels may cause some trouble, this one is really bad for the Pixar theory. There is simply no way the scene where Rex is trying to mount for the part of Tad should have ever happened. I'll save you the headache I had when trying to figure out how this can fit into the Pixar theory. Negroni is, from all appearances, correct in his statement that the bloopers don't fit into the Pixar universe. I will leave it to more experienced theorists than I to figure out the Rex issue. This removes any changes the bloopers may have made into the theory, so these parts remain intact. This still leaves the issue of how Cars got the stuff in A Bug's Life and Monsters, Inc. so accurate, though. Additionally, this leaves open the hole of how Heimlich is without wings in Toy Story but gets his wings at the end of A Bug's Life. The second issue is resolved pretty quickly. The witch realized Flick and Heimlich hitched a ride and brings them back to their time period. It's also not inconceivable that even without Pixar, Flick and Heimlich told some people or machines their story, and their story stuck, even onto the Cars time period. The Monsters, Inc. reference is a bit trickier. It is, interestingly, completely possible for the Cars to have heard of what happened in the clip shown, because the clip shown is one part of the movie that occurs in the modern day, the banishment scene. It's almost as if it were done on purpose. But how that information left the Himalayas, though, is a bit trickier. At first I thought that maybe the abominable snowman sled was given sentience by his love for it, but that has two major issues with it. First, a monster's love for an inanimate object won't bring it to life, only humans will. Otherwise, the monsters wouldn't be having their energy crisis. And second, if super